Well, hello there, welcome. This is the Unintentional ASMR Book Club. If you're new here, that's awesome. Thanks for joining in. You're just in time for the bedtime stories. Tonight's book is called The Rise of the Dragon. So let's begin. The history of Westeros stretches back thousands of years, but the period in which House Targaryen unified the various realms into the 7 kingdoms as we know them covers less than 300. The history of the family goes back further than that, however, to its beginnings in the freehold of Valyria. The Targaryens were an ancient and noble lineage, dragon lords who bred and rode the great beasts that had extended the freehold's power across western Essos. Yet they were still a relatively minor family among the great Valyrian houses. When Aenor Targaryen sold his lands and properties and moved his entire family and their dragons to Valyria's westernmost outpost, the isle called Dragonstone in the Narrow Sea, his rivals thought him a coward. Little did they know that his daughter, Daenerys the Dreamer, had foretold the doom of Valyria. 12 years later, the freehold was destroyed in a cataclysm when the volcanic 14 flames erupted, shattering the Valyrian peninsula and the empire along with it. In the chaos that followed, all the dragon lords of Valyria perished, along with their dragons, apart from the Targaryens on their rocky isle of Dragonstone. What follows in this book is a guide to the first half of that period, beginning with Aegon's conquest through the end of the regency of Aegon III Dragonbane. The 7 Kingdoms. Beginning in the year 2 BC, or before the conquest, Aegon Targaryen and his sisters launched their invasion of Westeros with the intention of unifying the entire continent under their rule. Opposing them were 7 individual kingdoms, each with a unique history stretching back thousands of years. Before discussing the events of the conquest, it seems prudent to take a moment to examine each of these varying realms and their rulers as they existed at the time. The Stormlands. The Stormlands are centered around the Rainwood, the heavily forested southeastern region of Westeros, and are bordered to the north by the Blackwater River, to the south by the Dornish Marshes, and to the west by the Reach. Legends claim that the first Storm King was Duran Godsgrief, who gained the enmity of the gods of wind and sea when he won the love of their daughter Elene. Duran raised a succession of castles for himself and his Elene that the gods then repeatedly destroyed until a young boy helped Duran raise a seventh castle. Due to its massive curtain walls and drum tower, this castle could withstand the god's fury and was ever after known as Storm's End. The boy would become Bran the Builder, and House Durrandon ruled for thousands of years from its seat at Storm's End. The Storm King Arlan III expanded the realm by conquering the Riverlands some 400 years before the conquest, stretching the domain of House Durrandon from the Narrow Sea to the Sunset Sea. Yet 3 centuries later, the Storm King Arek lost the Riverlands to Harwin Hoar, a king of the Iron Islands. Arek's 2 subsequent attempts to regain the Riverlands failed, and a third attempt under Arek's son, Arlan V, ended in Arlan's death. Arlan V's successor was his young son Argilac, later known as Argilac the Arrogant, who would be the last of the Storm Kings. As a boy, Argilac turned back and attempted Dornish invasion, and his reputation only grew from there. He joined an alliance with several of the free cities against Volantis and killed King Garce the Seventh Gardener at the Battle of Summerfield. His only heir at the time of the conquest was his daughter Argella. The Kingdom of the Isles and Rivers. Although the histories of Westeros seem certain that the Iron Islands were settled by the first men, the priests of the drowned god on the Iron Islands claim that the Ironborn are a people apart, created in the image of their god. Whatever the truth, the Iron Islands have a long history of maritime activity, fishing the rich waters, trading tin and iron ore, and sending reavers and pirates to pillage and make war on the Greenlands. The archipelago contains 31 islands, of which there are 7 major inhabited ones. Legends claim that the Grey King ruled the Isles in the Age of Heroes, but any details of his reign are lost to the mists of time. What is more certain is that each isle had a Salt King and a Rock King, each elected to these offices until the priest Gallon Whitestaff convinced the Ironborn to unify by electing a High King at the first ever King's Moot. The centuries-long era of these High Kings, called the Driftwood Kings for their wooden crowns, brought the Iron Islands to the apex of their power. During the reign of Corred the Cruel, the Ironborn held much of the western shore of Westeros under their dominion. These gains were slowly lost, however, especially after Euron Grey Iron and his supporters slaughtered his rivals at the last King's Moot, establishing the first hereditary high kingship. The turmoil that followed on the Iron Islands made it easier for the mainland kingdoms to drive out the Ironborn until the great kingdom of the Isles and the Rivers was reduced once more to just the Iron Islands. It would take centuries in House Hor succeeding the Grey Irons as kings for the Ironborn to begin to reclaim their lost ground in the Riverlands. Most notably, King Harwin Hor, known as Hardhand, launched an invasion of the Riverlands, driving out the Storm Kings who then controlled the Trident. Harwin's grandson, Harren the Black, would rule the United Kingdom of the Isles and the Rivers until the conquest, beggaring the River Lords by erecting an enormous castle by the God's Eye. This castle, Harrenhal, took 40 years to complete, and the histories say that the massive fortress was finished on the very day that Aegon Targaryen and his sisters set foot on Westeros at the start of the conquest. Alright, I hope you enjoyed listening to that reading. If you do, give it a like and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, yeah? And don't forget to share it with the world. I wish you have a great night and have a good night's sleep. Sleep well, and I'll see you in the next video.